Did you guys know that Conor McGregor was back at UFC 303? Not breaking news here. It's been announced, I think, a few weeks ago. But nobody seems to care. That's just the reality of it. It's probably the first time a Conor McGregor fight has been announced, and the hype is on medium average. Really. Obviously, it's still in a few months and it's going to hype up and things are going to heat up, obviously, with time. But I'm just here to question the attraction that Conor McGregor has become in the world of fighting. Obviously, Conor McGregor is a big superstar. We know this. He's the biggest superstar in the UFC right now. But that doesn't necessarily mean that people are hyped to see him fight. You know what I mean? Which it's two different things. Conor McGregor is a big name. I'll talk to my grandma about Conor McGregor, and she'll pretty much know who he is. She'll be like, I've heard of this guy before. But I talked to my grandma about Dustin Poirier. She probably won't know, but Dustin Poirier is still probably a more interesting guy to be announced for a fight, in my opinion. Or you can take whatever example of a fighter. I'm saying, like, some of these guys are less known, less of a superstar, role, but they're still extremely engaging and still extremely interesting for the mass majority of fans that watch MMA, and they anticipate their fight a lot. Whereas, we've been spoiled with so many great fights recently, with so many great fighters overall, that nowadays when a Conor McGregor fight is announced, it's like, great, it's Conor McGregor, the biggest star in the UFC. But I mean, am I as anticipating this fight as much as a Dustin Poirier versus Islam fight? Or you could take whatever example, but, like, I don't think I am. I don't think I am. People talk to me about Conor McGregor all day long. People ask me about Conor McGregor, but I just think it's because he's a well-known name, but not necessarily because we're interesting in watching him fight. And I feel like it's been showing through, engagement and what's been posted on social media by even MMA fans as a whole. It's not been about Conor McGregor. It's been about everything else around it. Obviously the fight was announced and a few people made certain posts and videos about it, but that's pretty much it. Nobody seems to care that much. And I'm here to tell you why. I think Conor McGregor's return isn't as anticipated as maybe his first return, or because we've heard Conor McGregor is back so many times. Obviously, after he lost the first time to Nate Diaz, that second fight, it was Conor McGregor is back, the king is back, right? Then when he fought Habib Nurmagomedov the first time, it was Conor McGregor, the superstar guy. He's back because he had been fighting Floyd and been away from the world of MMA for so long. Now, that was his big comeback as well against Habib. And then he, didn't fight for so long. He lost that fight against Habib, came back against Cowboy Cerrone, and that fight against Cowboy Cerrone was also promoted as the big comeback of Conor McGregor. And then he didn't fight again for another year and a half, and then it was like, all right, the first fight against Dustin was the big comeback again. So it's been like 4 or 5 comeback fights of Conor McGregor's career. Now they're still promoting this as the comebacks of Conor McGregor and obviously Michael Chandler as well, but nobody really cares about Michael Chandler, so it's being mostly promoted about Conor McGregor. And it's just getting old. I feel like that's the only thing. Absence, inactivity can be a key to somebody's, like, engagement level. We always say this, right? Even about, like, personal relationship. It could be like, men and women dynamic relationship, but even just like business wise, business strategies, absence can grow fonder. They always say this, right? Sometimes absence make you want to, make you miss that person a little bit, right? It makes you want to know about that person, makes you engage with it a little bit more. So I understand that part of it, but when absence become a trend, when inactivity becomes a trend, that absence becomes uninterest. That's just what it becomes. And I feel like that's just what happened with Conor McGregor. Obviously, it wasn't totally his fault because there were so many things that happened that was outside of his control, like obviously the injuries and stuff like that. Um, the losses. I even say in MMA, losses are outside of your control. You win some, you lose some. You try your best to train as hard as possible. Hopefully he's doing that. We'll see later on in this video if he actually is. But as long as you're preparing right for an MMA fight, whether you win or you lose, to me, is almost outside of your control, man. It's such a game of inches and a bit of a game of luck as well. That yeah, you've lost some. It is what it is. But what I'm saying is, it still doesn't help your career, even if you're the biggest superstar in the world like Conor McGregor. That if you're absent for this amount of time, right, for years on years, then you come back, you're absent again for years on years. People are just like they're gonna find a way to move on. And when Conor McGregor was coming into the sport as what he was back then, there wasn't another guy like Conor McGregor. Like, he was compared to Ronda Rousey, a female mixed martial artist. But you know, I'm not gonna compare the two. All right, all I'm gonna say is Conor McGregor is a one of one. So when he was coming up, all of the attention was on him. But while he was away, what happens is us MMA fans found love, interest, and generated some engagement for other guys, for other histories, for other story in the world of mixed martial arts. Dana White did a tremendous job of obviously promoting these other guys and promoting these other fights. So where we're at a point where we don't need Conor McGregor back that much. Conor McGregor is a great fighter, is a great guy for the sport, but we don't need him. We don't need him. If he was to retire, honestly, if he was to retire tomorrow, the world of mixed martial arts, the UFC as a whole, would do just fine. We would still be very interested in a shit ton of fights. There's so many guys now coming up that Conor McGregor has done his job, but he's not needed the way he was back then. Like, when he was fighting the Jose Aldo, Nate Diaz, it feels like he couldn't be replaceable, and he hasn't been replaceable. But the amount of fighters that now has came into the UFC and made a splash and made some noise have now like replaced that Conor McGregor need that we had for back then. So that's why I feel like obviously a Conor McGregor announcement isn't as interesting as it was back in the day. But I also think Michael Chandler is not the guy. I've said this when it was announced. I've said this when they promoted The Ultimate Fighter. It's a tough matchup for Conor McGregor, number one. So shout out to Conor, obviously, for coming back against a guy that's tough and dangerous like Michael Chandler. But it's almost like, I don't want to say like all risk, no reward type of fight, but it's a bit kind of what it is, because Michael Chandler's not a big name in the lightweight division. I'll say, like, the UFC try to make it seem like he is, but he's kind of a journeyman right now at lightweight. That's number one in terms of success, and even as a name. And he doesn't necessarily bring any drama, any heat, any intensity to the fight. All that he says, all that he talks about when it's about that fight with Conor is shower Conor with nothing but praises. And look, I'll show you a little video that I was just searching some stuff, about that fight, and this is what Michael Chandler's extent to trash talk goes. All right, or I wouldn't even call this trash talk, to be honest. It's just like what he talks about when he talks about the fight. It just seems like Conor McGregor is so good. So Conor McGregor has done this. So we have to respect Conor. That's not how you promote a Conor McGregor fight. It's not the right guy for the job. I feel like that plays a big part in the fact that nobody cares.
How will you deal
Listen.
with Conor's counterstrike?
How do you deal with Conor's counterstrike?
Got to admit, it's one of the best that we've ever seen. It's one of the best in the game, and even though I don't believe it's as good as 2016, as good as 2018, he's still thrown it.
Yeah, that hairline is gone.
Millions of times. So that muscle memory, that myelin that he's laid down to be able to see and navigate and negotiate the distance and the timing, it's still there. So it's something that we're thinking about. It's something that we're working on. It's something that we're going to be cognizant of. However, it's not going to be something that we are overly worried about. If you guys know how I fight, you guys.
That's it. That's what we're getting. That's what we're getting. Listen, I just wanted to show you like this little small example, but the extent of what Michael Chandler has to say about Conor McGregor literally is just praise. It's all it is, and I just think, I would have almost liked Conor McGregor's comeback to be with a lesser dangerous fighter. Like, I should have to think about it, but like a guy in the lightweight division that presents less weapon, presents less danger to Conor than a Michael Chandler, who's great pretty much everywhere, has power in his hands, great, decent striking, and obviously good wrestler, but presents no real interest to the fights. I would have rather seen Conor McGregor against a guy who's less dangerous, but brings more brings more like heat and intensity to the fight, and make a fight nights, make the history of them fighting something important, something we care about. If there's no story between the two guys, nobody cares. That's what the fighting business is. That's what the fighting business truly is, no pun intended. Fighting business is just the story of two guys fighting. There's so many YouTube videos that you can click on, like the street beefs, where two guys that are decently good, whatever, nobody cares about them because we don't know them. Is there a story? Is there a beef between them? Whatever. And even in the street beefs video that I'm talking about, sometimes they talk about the fact that they have a beef. Somebody's talked to this girl, this dude's girlfriend, and now he's mad, and that creates drama. That creates interest. If there's none of that, nobody cares. And that's just what it boils down to. Michael Chandler isn't the type of guy that creates that interest that way, that creates that heat, and I don't blame him for it. It is what it is. I always say this: Michael Chandler's, respect to him. He's getting paid. Red Penny Night, whatever. He waited 2 years to fight Conor. It is what it is. Respect. I don't blame necessarily him for doing it. I just don't understand why the UFC went with that guy. You know what? Fuck. I'm gonna just go look at the UFC lightweight rankings just to see. You know what I would have liked? Now that I think about it, bro, Renato Moicano would have sold that fight with Conor McGregor so much better than a Michael Chandler. Obviously, now that's an argument whether you would prefer seeing Conor McGregor fight Moicano or Chandler, but obviously now Max Holloway's there. Bobby Green, bro. Imagine a Bobby Green versus Conor McGregor press conference or heat, lead up to a fight. That'd be fun. Bobby Green presents pretty much no danger to Conor McGregor. We would, expect Conor McGregor to beat Bobby Green, but it would be an entertaining scrap. Two guys that are strikers and always in fun fights. And Bobby Green's trash talks the fuck out of everybody he fights. I feel like that's low risk, high reward, or maybe not high reward because people are not going to respect you for beating Bobby Green the same way you beat Michael Chandler, but it's still a win, and that's the only thing that he needs. Conor doesn't need a win against a top 5 or top 10 regardless. He can beat anybody, and he'll be discussed for a title shot. So fighting a guy that creates heat, creates, drama. Obviously, the thing is Bobby Green doesn't have any history with Conor McGregor, but I just know he would have made a very interesting fight. I feel also Justin Gaethje would have been much more interesting than a Michael Chandler fight, but Gaethje's not inactive like Michael Chandler. Justin Gaethje wants to fight, so he wouldn't have waited the way Michael Chandler had, but I feel like Gaethje would have been, if we're going to the top 5, top 3 guys, might as well take it Justin Gaethje. I talked about Renato Moicano, Rafael Fiziev. That's a dangerous matchup. You know what? Take that back. I'm going to take that back. But Dan Hooker, they've been connected with. They fought on the same cards. I don't know. All I'm saying is Michael Chandler's kind of not the most interesting matchups. And, another question to be posed is just, is Conor McGregor actually ready for a fight? We've rarely seen a Conor McGregor fight announcement and not seen a mentally prepared and focused Conor. That's also what makes us hyped to see him fight, is we know he's going to be prepared to fight. This is what he's posting.
Mania, the notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today.
17 hours ago.
Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
Bro is fighting him in like a month and a half. Look at this. I love Conor, but he ain't fighting Chandler. This is what we're seeing. This is what we're seeing. You know what? I'll just leave it like fuck it. That's what the vibe is from Conor McGregor recently. That's what he posted on his story. I think it was yesterday. By the way, this is on Reddit. Somebody made a post called You can tell by Conor's social media postings he's sober and at the top of his game ahead of his fights. Look at this.
Hold on, yeah? Hold on a sec. Mike Goldberg. Mike Goldberg's back, baby, yeah? You thought you were getting... Shut your mouth! You thought you were getting rid of Mike Goldberg, think again, yeah? Goldberg's back, baby. Tell us.
Shoot you.
In our 10 fights tonight, at another nation, if we added our broadcast partner, Ricardo, Benny, I know the first time we met, you said, hey, Goldie, we're going to Dubai. Well, you know,
You got boxed out of the gym, you little fool, you. Look at him, nothing. He got smacked out of the gym. He got ran out of Showtime and okay. Ah, come on. We are hired, lads. Yeah, you're hired.
Bro is on cocaine, just like Ryan Garcia. You know, maybe he pulls a reverse card like Ryan Garcia did and just like whoops Michael Chandler. I don't even say it's not. It's probably what's going to happen. You know, I'm not saying he can't win this, but from what we're seeing, it's just like, how is this man preparing for Michael Chandler? He's fighting in a month and a half. It still seems like he's still on drug. This is a sparring footage I wanted to show you. I don't know why I'm showing you guys this, but it just looks weird. Who is he fighting? Why is Conor in gloves, the other dude not? Why is everybody around like grappling and Conor's the only one striking? I don't know. It seems like so controlled. You know, like other people are striking in the back, whatever. But it seems like such an uncoordinated sort of, sparring. But I mean, what works for people? You know, if it works, it works. I don't know. All I'm saying is there's so many questions, and I feel like this whole plays a big factor with, the uninterest from a vast majority of fans, UFC fans, surrounding the Conor McGregor comeback. Let me know what you guys think about it. Are you hyped for Conor? Obviously, we all are. We're hardcore fans. We're going to watch. But is it comparable to when, he came back against, say, Khabib Nurmagomedov, or when he came back to fight Dustin Poirier? Is it comparable? It felt like I had goosebumps. I had, like, butterflies. I was nervous months before when it was announced, and I couldn't. Now it's just like, yeah, I mean, he's back, but Dustin Poirier's fighting before that, and Sean Strickland's fighting Paulo Costa. I'm way more hyped about that than Conor fighting Chandler. Like, I'm almost more hyped about Jamal Hill fighting Khalil Rountree, to be honest. Like, I feel like those fights mean more. They mean more to me. But, let me know what your thoughts down below if you relate with me. And, yeah, go watch the Charles Oliveira interview, bro. I did a Charles Oliveira interview with Full Violence. Probably going to drop tomorrow. Today we're Sunday, so yeah. By Monday, it should be out. I talked to the Bronx himself. I swear to God, this shit is crazy. But yeah, hopefully y'all have a great day, and catch y'all in the next one, man. Peace out, boys.